guys, welcome to another Prep with Jen video. My name is Jen, and today I want to share with you some simple tips for improving your SAT reading score. So if that's an area you're currently struggling with, then please stay tuned. Now, many tutors will agree with me that reading comprehension is notoriously difficult to teach. Unlike the SAT writing and math, which are more knowledge-based, reading is a skill-based activity. Now, you can certainly learn test-taking strategies that can help guide you, but those in isolation will only get you so far. It may sound obvious, but the key to becoming a better reader is to read a lot. I tell my students that in order to do well on SAT reading, you have to read often, read widely, and do it consistently over a long period of time. Now, I want to talk a little more about what I mean by reading widely. So many of us tend to gravitate towards a specific genre. For me, that's fiction. But the SAT requires that you be able to read text across different categories, including literature, history, science, and social studies. So when you're practicing, you definitely want to incorporate text from all of those categories. If you enjoy reading, then this may be a natural transition for you. But for the population of students that will never consider reading as an enjoyable pastime, the habit may be a bit harder to develop. I want to give you a few actionable steps you can take to help you get started. So the first thing I want you to do is to create a reading schedule that you can stick with. And the best way to do this is to create a clear and consistent trigger at roughly the same time every day. So maybe you want to set aside 30 minutes right after you get home from school or right after dinner. Or if you are a more rewards-driven individual, then you may consider setting aside the 30 minutes before your favorite show starts to dedicate to reading. It doesn't matter what method you choose as long as it's one that you can stick with. Now, my second tip is to start small. This is really important anytime you're trying to develop a long-term habit. If you are not much of a reader to begin with, then the last thing I want you to do is to dive right into some of the most difficult texts. You're going to become overwhelmed, you're going to feel discouraged, or you may burn out. And none of those are conducive to developing a long-term practice. So starting small can mean several different things. Maybe you only read one article a day, or you start with topics that interest you. This is a great idea every time you're starting out into a new category. Let's say you are just trying to experiment with science articles and you like chocolate. So maybe you'll want to read an article about why cacao trees are endangered. If you like video games, maybe you'll read a psychology study about the effects of playing video games on the brain. There are endless possibilities here, and just the fact that you are reading, it's going to lead to improvement over the long haul. If you are wondering what resources are out there that you can use, I have a couple of recommendations for you. So the first is The Economist, which has really high quality articles across a variety of categories. Then you have Scientific American, and there are articles there across all branches of science, which is super helpful. And lastly, The Guardian, and this is a free news site. They have current event articles as well as many op-eds that are really great as well. I will also be linking these in the description box below. Now, my third and final tip for you is that when you read, you should do it with intention. We are really trying to maximize all the value out of the time that you spend on this activity. And the best way I found to become a more active reader is to get in the habit of summarizing what you're reading as you're reading, whether it be at the end of every paragraph or definitely at the end of the entire passage. You want to ask yourself what you just read. So a great way to do this is to pretend your 8-year-old cousin walks in after you read a paragraph or the passage, and they're asking you what you read. And now you have the task of explaining to them in concise and simple language what it is that you just understood. If you're reading op-eds, which are opinion pieces in which the author shares his or her opinion on a particular issue, you want to think about how the author is presenting his argument. So ask yourself questions like, who is the intended audience? What is the central claim? How the author seeks to convince its audience and what the intended desired outcome is. If you can consistently summarize and get to the author's purpose with ease, then you'll have no problems determining the gist on SAT reading passages. And that is one of the key skills in terms of dominating this section. So those are my top 3 tips on how you can start improving your reading today. The hardest part is getting started, but if you do and you commit to this practice, the payoff will be huge. If you like this video, then please show us some love by liking below and subscribing to our channel. If you have any questions or if there are any topics you would like to hear me discuss, then please leave us a comment. You can also check out our blog and subscribe to our newsletter for more awesome freebies. But until next time, stay curious.